Welcome to our Kelley Blue Book coverage of the North American International Auto Show in Detroit, and this is Jack Nerad with you. And a technology we're going to see more and more of is diesel technology. It makes so much sense from the fuel efficiency standpoint. There have been emission issues in the United States that are being resolved right now, and with us is an absolute expert on both diesels and powertrain from BMW. Andreas Klugescheid, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
We've talked to you previously about hydrogen-powered vehicles and other power plants. Diesel is something that BMW has had for many years in its portfolio, and Europe has not had it in the United States for a number of years. But tell us why that is changing.
You know, the first reason for bringing diesels to the US is it's possible now. You know, we had a long period of actually difficulties with the fuel. Diesel fuel had a by far too high sulfur content.
Sulfur content, correct.
And that relates to every other car manufacturer as well. You know, high sulfur means that you have difficulties running these engines in a clean way. And now that the low sulfur diesel is available on a national scale,
world,
really,
national
75,000 diesel filling stations are providing that stuff. One of the preconditions is there to introduce diesel. The other thing is that especially California has pretty strict regulations when it comes to NOx emissions.
Right,
and
nitrous oxide emissions.
Nitrous oxide
right.
emissions.
They cause smog.
Yeah, that's correct. And you know, to manage to run a diesel without actually emitting nitrous oxides or nearly no nitrous oxides emissions, you have to have an SCR catalyst, and that is a system that really uses urea to transform nitrous oxides into nitrogen, and that is something that we can offer now with these cars. We will have them on the market from fall 2008 onwards, and it will be the 335 diesel, that is this model here, and the X5 X-Drive 35T.
And that is EPA certified, that meets federal standards, meets California standards.
That's a 50-state diesel that is can be driven and can be bought actually in all 50 states.
Let's talk about the advantages to diesel, because there are significant advantages, especially in fuel economy. Talk about that if you would.
You know, there's really two main points, and one is, well, three main points really. Fuel economy is better. We're talking about 20-25% improvement compared to a comparable gasoline engine. So with this one, we come up till 33 miles per gallon. That's provisional data currently, but we'll reach that figure. And the other thing is the emissions are extremely clean because of the SCR catalyst. No NOx emissions, factually no NOx emissions anymore. We have a diesel particulate trap, so particulates are no longer an issue. And on the CO2 side, given that they are using less fuel, they emit less CO2, which is brilliant. And the third advantage, and that's the decisive one, is these engines generate huge amounts of torque, actually. You know, it's a twin-turbo 3-liter inline-six that we have here, and this engine develops 425 pound-feet of torque. And 425 pound-feet of torque is comparable to our V12 6-liter engine that we have in the 7 Series and the 760. Now, you have a 3 Series here, pretty lightweight car, with the same torque as a 7 Series, 12-cylinder. You can imagine what kind of fun to drive it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of American consumers are surprised that BMW would come with a diesel because they don't have the impression that diesels are sporty, that, you know, they're thinking about the old, heavy, smoking diesels as opposed to the new modern diesel, and that's totally a thing of the past, isn't it?
That's true. It's really once upon a time, you know. We started with diesel development with BMW in the early 80s, and the first car that we brought into the market, and there were a few of them in the US, but most of them obviously were sold in Germany and in Europe, were the 524 turbo diesel, and these were the most sportiest and fastest diesels at the time. Now, in terms of performance, you know, you have 265 horsepower here too. It's not only the torque, but also the overall horsepower that is there. And that makes this car really a great car, accelerating 6.2 seconds from 0 to 60. And you know, it's a sporty car, and it fits to our idea of efficient dynamics. And that's, you know, you cannot, you can actually save fuel, and on the other hand, you can be even more dynamic.
Right.
It works.
Let's take a look at the engine itself and point out to us some of the things about the engine that you think are special.
It's an inline six. It has a twin turbocharger, which is something that is unique to BMW, a variable twin turbocharger that really delivers torque from the very, very low revs. So the 425 pound-feet are generated at 1750 RPMs. That is just above idling speed.
Yeah, the
really.
engine isn't turning very hard at all at that point, and yet you're getting maximum torque.
You deliver.
Right.
You get
well,
it delivered
explain to
immediately.
our viewers about torque, what torque does for a vehicle and what massive amount of torque does for a vehicle, because they might not understand that.
You know, you're stopping at a red light, and you want to accelerate after it's going green. What you have there is torque mainly that drives the car in a rapid way away. You're coming from a turnpike, or you're coming up a ramp on a turnpike, and you accelerate from, let's say, 30 to 70 miles per hour, and their torque is the driving force. You know, you don't need to shift down, or the automatic transmission doesn't need to shift down. It's immediate torque that accelerates you, and in a very smooth way. You know, in other words, for the US driving conditions, it's probably an ideal combination: a torquey engine, a good transmission. It's a 6-speed transmission, ultra efficient, by the way, as well. It saves 3% of fuel as well. You know, it's not only the engine, and so it's a great car. I love it. And just to give you another figure, in Europe, 67%, that is 2/3 of all BMWs, are actually diesel cars we have on sale.
So the sportiness that you expect from BMW can absolutely be attained with a diesel.
Absolutely.
What have you done to address noise? A lot of people associate noise with diesel engines. Tell us a bit about that.
You know, it starts really with the generation of noise, and that happens actually in the engine. So what we have a very refined injection system that works with 3 injections to actually bring down the noise a bit. Then we have the material that we use in the engine. It's an aluminum crankcase, brings down the weight, by the way, by 40% compared to a normal crankcase. That again helps us with the noise as well, because the design of the thing is so that it reduces noise. And then we obviously have the usual materials to dam actually the noise emissions, but it's really important to start with reduction of noise where it actually is generated. That's really in the engine. So when you're driving the car, you don't have any clear impression whether it's a gasoline or a diesel car. You actually have to take care at the filling station that you really fill it up with diesel.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it happens that people are actually filling it up with gasoline because they keep forgetting it's diesel.
Remind us again when it will be available in the U.S.
It is in fall 2008, and by the way, we made sure that you can only fill it up with diesel in the U.S., so there's no reason to be
with the
bothered.
nozzles.
Yeah, with the nozzles. We have a safety device there.
Andreas Klugescheid, thanks so much for talking to us. We appreciate it.
Yep.
And stay with us for more Kelley Blue Book coverage of the North American International Auto Show as we continue.